Butterfield. Here. Carter.
Here.
Surma.
Here.
Dixon Andrews.
Here.
Is absent. We can call it an excused absence. She had informed us that she would not be able to make it. That is our new commissioner, Sangeeta Ghosh, but she will be here in June, she has told us.
Right.
Including here, Vandervenen.
Present. Thank you. With that, can I get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight? We have one final PUD, order of new business.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. With that, can we review the minutes from the April 16 meeting and make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously, thank you. No public hearings, no unfinished business, which brings us to our new business here. I think this might be the biggest packet we've ever had, so lots of information here. Our final PUD for proposed senior citizen housing with assisted living in the R4 zoning district at 6447 and 6501 Fulton. Applicant and property owner Holland Home, represented by Troy Vuctevine. Great to see you guys again here. It's been a pleasure working with you guys. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, whoever wants to jump in and present.
Your choice, folks, as to who's presenting.
Okay.
Scott, if that's you, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever works
And
best for you
Are you ready
guys.
for the switch over?
I am.
Okay.
Perfect.
It'll show up here. There we are.
I'm Scott Vinn with Integrated Architecture. Super excited to be here tonight. It's been a long, long road. We came in front of this group, many of you, a long time ago, and we had great dialogue, great discussion, and I think it made the project better, honestly. We went away and have spent the last months, years working on developing the drawings and the project and getting it right sized for the budget and the program that Holland Home is seeking. And that's all funneled together into what the packet you're seeing now. It's a tremendously big project in a lot of ways. For our firm, it's an honor to be working on it, and we're excited to present it. And that's why you've got one of the biggest packets that you've ever seen. There's just a lot to it. And I'm joined by a lot of the leadership from Holland Home, so if there's questions directed to them, I'm sure they'd be happy to help. And I've got some of my partners from Integrated Architecture. So there's a lot of momentum on the project. I think hopefully you've seen some of the things that are happening in the community in terms of outreach and communication, and their sales office that's been active for quite a while now. What's the address of the? Does anybody know the address? It's right in downtown.
Been there. Yep.
So there have been a few changes to the design since the last time you saw it, and I would categorize all of those as being slightly smaller than what you saw. So there's 5 less units overall than what you saw in preliminary. The building has moved slightly north away from Fulton. And that's part of that as we constrict the building to reduce those units. There's a lot of influences on why we reduced the units. Some of it was shifting from the Union building to the detached villas. The enclaves have always stayed pretty strong in terms of their counts. The parking has shifted in association and respect to that unit count. So there's a whole parking analysis in the submission that shows how it's right-sized for Holland Home and the uses that they have and the residents that they have. One of the important amenities of this project that's a benefit, I think, is that all the parking for the residents is below grade. So that really diminishes the impact of cars on the site. We've done a lot of work with MDOT. You had seen that in the preliminary, but trying to really figure out the safest and best way to enter the site from Fulton, especially with the speeds on Fulton. If you recall, during preliminary, our office had come up with 7 different options on where to enter and how to enter, and only one of those was acceptable to MDOT, and that was the only option that was presentable and allowable by them. So we've continued to work with them on the details of it, the turning movements, all the traffic going in both directions. Also, since preliminary, the 2 lots, if you remember originally, there was 2 lots on this site. Those have been combined into 1 lot. And that was one of the, I think, requirements getting to today, and it was actually something that was in the works from the beginning. Landscape plan was not obviously presented in preliminary. That's been submitted. I'm going to show a couple images that you don't have in your packet, just to make it a little bit bigger. So this is an aerial shot. Do you have something in front of you? Or
I
you
do,
want-
yeah, I guess,
Okay.
we got a TV right
All
here.
right, great. So, you know, the general arrangement of the site hasn't changed. To the west are the villas, which are the single and duplex homes. The massing of those were kind of dictated by planning as it relates to the development further to the west. So the massing of architecture starts to align and then raise up as it gets to the center of our site. And then you still have the activity building in the middle, which is called the Arc, the Union building, which is the largest building that kind of ties everything together, and then the enclaves to the east. We've got the advantage, and one of the great assets of the site is all the landscape on all directions of the site with the exception of the south. The south, we're bolstering the berms on the west side, and then as the ground naturally becomes a swale headed towards the east, we're looking at adding additional trees there. So if you look at the landscape plan, I think all those numbers are related to each edge of the site and the requirements that it responds to the adjacent use. And then we went above and beyond on the south side, both from things we heard from the township in terms of the character of driving out of and to the village, but then also from the internal perspective of the sound of cars, and that activity is really not of a benefit to the development. So, so focusing quickly, a quick overview, and available for any questions about the Arc, is that center building. So that's the first thing you see when you drive in. It's got a lot of glass and transparency. We've got the aquatic program right in the front. And I can go through any details of that, but it's housing indoor fitness. We used to have pickleball courts on the outside to the west of it, and for a lot of reasons, those pickleball courts are now inside. So there's 2 pickleball courts on the second floor of this building that'll help with noise and some of the negative impacts of ever popular sport. There's also an indoor track in the upper floor of this activity building. It's almost like a YMCA that's been right-sized for this development, and we think it's a huge asset. And then it's connected to the Union, which is the largest building to the east of it by a bridge that goes over what we call our main street. So when you first drive in, you see that activity, you see the uses inside the building. As you come around as a visitor, you'd see that bridge tying and framing that view. And then you've got the larger building, which is pushed as far north as we can. That building houses the majority of the units. It also has a pub and a dining restaurant. And it's got a wellness center, and it's got 15 AL bed unit on the first floor of it. And what you can't see, you'll see it in some other images, is a lot of that building has green roof, vegetated roof. So any elevated views outside, looking out of that building, you're not going to see any roof. You're going to see vegetated roof, which has a lot of benefits beyond just what you see. To the west are the villas. We've changed those counts a little bit from the numbers of 2 bedrooms and did single bed homes, but it's still the same idea that they're off to the west. It's connected all by pedestrian loops, but the massing, especially as it relates to the development to the west, it was important from the beginning. And then to the east are the enclaves. So one of the important tenets that we talked about in preliminary was it wasn't just one contiguous building. You can get from the enclaves underground through the parking up to the main building, so they are connected. But from an experiential standpoint, from viewing it from the public, there are breaks in the architecture where you can see through to the trees beyond. So it's, again, trying to break down that massing. A lot of metrics here. They're all in your packet, but underground parking, 2 points of entry. We have some lower units. You'd be amazed at how many people are really interested in dogs and having the ability to get out of their units and have patios for dogs. So that's proven to be a popular amenity. And then as you go up the levels, all the area in blue is social space, including the wellness center, some staff space, restaurant and pub. The yellow area is the assisted living, and then the green area are units, purple enclave, darker blue are the villas, and then the orange is that arc. And you can see the metrics off to the right in that chart in terms of how many types of units, where they're located, what floor, and then the totals. So there's 83 units in the Union. There are 37 on the enclaves. That's both of them combined. So there's 19 in one and 21 in the other. 16 rather, and 21 in the other. And then the villas. And then the upper floors. This diagram we added because we wanted to make sure that you understood where the green vegetated roofs are. So all the parking has a roof over it, as I mentioned, a lot of that is vegetated. And then like the AL, the entry lobby, and some of the garden level units all have vegetated roofs on them. Another issue that came up in preliminary was screening of mechanical units. If you remember, we used to have a whole additional floor on this building and a little bit tighter footprint, and the height of that was hotly debated and discussed, so we dropped that down. That changed the geometry of the building a little bit. We also had a lot of that upper floor was a penthouse, which housed the mechanical units. That read as a fourth floor and added to the feeling of height and verticality. So we've really done a lot of work to push mechanical into the building. The orange pieces are the units that are remaining. The ones that are on the arc are all screened because those are bigger units and that's a lower building. The ones that are on the Union building are centrally clustered. In all the renderings in your packet, the units are on. And as you zoom around anywhere in that building, we spent a lot of time studying the three-dimensional model. You don't see those units from the ground. You might see them for upper units, but we decided not to screen them because that would only add to their visibility. So a couple other things I wanted to mention is we did lower the height of the building compared to the first time around. We used to have the parking structure the parking level was 16 feet floor to floor, and then this first floor was 16 feet floor to floor. Those are now 14 and 14.8, and that was just through the process of design and really getting the right size for those things. It's still 12-foot floor to floor for the upper levels, so that reduced the overall height of the building compared to before. And there was a lot of talk about a requirement to create a sidewalk across the south face of the site. So you'll see in our site plans that we are showing a 10-foot path that goes from the east to the west side. And we're excited to be advocates for the rest of the pathway to connect to the village. There's a lot of excitement about the connectivity of this living experience with the vibrancy of the village. And we've gone so far as to try not to duplicate amenities that are in the village here to strengthen that connection and strengthen the pathway between there. And this is going to be an active community, so the pathway we think will be well used to connect the two locations. So I could probably go on all night, so I want to make sure that if there's anything I missed, we can go over it. We also have our civil engineer if there's technical questions on the site. We have had a review with staff to get into some of the more technical things, especially as it relates to stormwater and sewage and just connecting to how it impacts the utilities that extend to and from the site. So those things have been gone over. And we were able to go through a lot of the points that are in the staff report in terms of how they responded to the original and how they responded to the intent of the PUD. So
I'm
happy to
okay
take
if
questions.
you keep going. If you have other stuff to talk about.
No, I mean, I've got a lot of images. I think the images that you have are the most indicative. We tried to send a lot of pictures of the views from Fulton. If you remember in the preliminary, there was a lot of discussions about renderings of new trees versus renderings with mature trees and renderings with winter trees. We actually have all that modeled. I think what you see in there is a very good representation of the move-in version, whether it's what season it is, that can surely be debated, but we are doing everything we can, both, again, for Holland Home and for the township to make sure that that south edge grows as quickly as possible. We did increase the amount of evergreens, which is in concert, I think, with some of the other developments and with Amway, that those evergreens can be planted a little bit bigger to start with. They grow and they really fill out, so it creates a more of a screen, both for sound and visual, as opposed to deciduous trees. And we've been spending a lot of time building images that express what the buildings are really gonna look like, and you'll see that in marketing material, but I brought some images today to show
Do
that.
you have the types of plants called out anywhere?
Yeah, in the landscape plan, they should be, the quantity and the species should all be called out. They also should be called out in terms of quantity along each of the frontages, the north, south, east, west, as your ordinance responds to green buffering between different uses.
If someone can find it, I mean, I can't find it anywhere.
Toward the end, Rob, if I might, of the packet, there are sheets, LP, I call it the LP series, which I think is landscape plan, and then the L series, and I think it's toward the end of the lighting information. Yeah, so you might, I don't know if it's in that lighting packet or if it's just somewhere in the late.
I don't see it in the lighting.
No?
Got a light, this one was lighting.
The landscape plans that we brought in were full-size drawings.
Yeah.
Oh, they were the full-size drawings,
Okay.
okay. Right, but I don't know that, it was provided. So I think it was emailed to you all.
Okay.
It was emailed to you all, but it's not part of the packet handout, I apologize.
Can I look at yours?
Today's,
You
of
have
course,
it there?
of course. I'll get you at the start. It's like from here and then back. So it was emailed to you, but it's not in today's handout packet. Brent has
I have
copies of the
full
large,
size,
the
yeah.
full-size stuff.
Oh, that'd be great.
Those plans, as you know, are huge, as
Yeah.
we joked about. This was just a very large submittal.
How many have been pre-rented?
We're about 35%,
What was your goal?
70.
When do you expect to be at 70? Because that's when you'll break ground or get started.
That's the plan.
When are you hoping to be at 70? When are you projecting to be there?
I think later this year,
Okay.
probably this fall, early winter.
Okay.
You can get it. Figure out when's the best time to get started.
So you'd hit 70% at the end of this year, and then you break ground next year, would be your goal? Which units are filling up or not filling up?
The villas, I think are all sold in one left, so, and out of the enclaves, I think, the majority of those sold, maybe half more.
You want to come up and introduce, just for the record? Thank you.
David Teesinger with Howland Home. Yeah, so the villas are all sold except for one of them. The enclaves, probably about 70% of those are sold. We have a few in the Union building that are sold at this point in time. The beauty of the ones that have sold at this point are the most expensive, and the ones with the highest entry fee, which really helps us get to construction sooner. We talk about 70%, but it's really 70% of the entrance fee pool, so that might be a lower number than 70% of the 136 units. So that's the key, is getting started sooner than later. The longer we wait, obviously, we're subjecting ourselves to all sorts of risks with construction costs and who knows where the world is and all that sort of stuff.
I guess I missed it. Could you clarify, please, which units are not selling as fast as you had
The
hoped?
union building.
The union building,
And
okay.
that sounds like a negative. I think that the challenge in any of this is really time.
Yeah.
So we're probably looking at 2029 occupancy. So somebody's looking at this saying, hey, when do I want to pull the trigger on this? So we would fully expect that probably the smaller units in the union building would be the last ones we sell. And that'll happen over the construction period, because then we have a more predictable date that we would be moving in, and then people can kind of measure that with their home sale and other things that they need to do to make that happen. So we're really pleased with where we were. The tough part is we started sales in October last year, jumped out of the gate and probably sold 25, 30 of them right away. And then you hit December, January, February, March, April. A lot of people head south to warmer climates. They've come back. We've had a lot of sales activity going on. We did a presentation with the architects at Dan Voss a week ago, and we've got events happening weekly. So we're really pleased with the way things are going, but you just don't jump to 70% overnight.
Right.
I will not approve any landscape plan that has arborvitae's, because you're gonna have a deer problem, because I deer hunt a property right behind this, and I can assure you, they will get destroyed. And if you look around Ada, you'll see the arborvitae's, the bottom 5 feet of all of them are completely bare, because the deer destroy them. So, if you could make that,
Yes. Okay.
the rest of your plants seem to be mostly okay. No arborvitae's. Can you pull up the image showing it from the road? Do you have one handy?
Yeah, it'll take me a minute.
I don't feel from this view we have enough screening. And I'm thinking evergreens like spruce trees, like this, image back. It's still this one here. It's still too wide open. And I forget which trees you have planted up front there. They're maple or elms there, but I really think there's got to be some spruce trees on those berms there.
Yeah, that view was taken right,
So-
right through the entry at the arc.
So right to the right of your mouse, right there, in there. I think there's got to be more there. Spruce trees, because it seems like it's mostly deciduous, and it's just going to be wide open. So that's something Country Homes and Amway have done a really good job at, is putting large evergreen trees there. I know Amway had to cut a bunch down because they were diseased, but they're replacing them with Norway spruce right now. I would suggest doing something similar.
Yeah, we do have to balance the MDOT right away, so they don't want you to plant inside of their right of way. So we've been having discussions with them about.
Well, you
what we
already
can-
have trees there.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
saying south of that.
No, I
we
agree
could-
with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I want people to see. But like north of that sidewalk, can we put, I mean, you're replace some of those deciduous trees with some, 'cause I see you have some 8 to 10 foot spruce trees on here already in a couple of your plans. I'd love to put some up front there.
How wide is that span of green space right there where those trees are shown?
I don't have a scaled drawing in front of me, I'm sorry.
North of that trail, you mean?
Yeah, north of the trail, like what, because those canopies.
You're saying behind there?
Behind the sidewalk.
Even a canopy.
We might be able to figure that out. Rob.
There's also a berm here.
Yeah, it's
So the idea was to put the evergreens on top of the berm, and where they're maximized in terms of their shielding for sound and vision.
Is the berm, is it shown in the visualizations that you have? They look pretty flat. So I thought there was some elevation there. Hopefully-
Yeah, you can see,
Oh, I see.
that's a
what you're
berm
talking about
there.
right there, okay.
and there's an existing berm to the left, which we're trying to preserve.
Can you go higher with it, or is that as high as you can go?
That's as high as we can go with a decent grade to be able to maintain it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see some evergreen trees on the right there. It's difficult to say what exactly it's there. I overall love it, guys. I mean, you've taken our feedback incredibly well. You've addressed the concerns really well. Love the green roofs that you're doing, tunnels underneath, underground parking, the bridges. I think it's fantastic. My biggest concern, as it was before, is still the landscaping up front there. I don't think we're quite there yet with the screening.
So this meets the code with the number of trees, you're just saying replace some of the deciduous trees with evergreens?
Yeah. Yeah, quantity, I think you guys did a good job, but, yeah, just thinking winter too, it's just gonna be wide open up front there. Just putting some bigger spruce trees, that can grow up, that'll be bigger, again, similar to kinda what Amway did.
Right.
In front of their property.
Are we opening this up for discussion or not? Because my comment would be,
Yeah.
if you look at, maybe playing devil's advocate a little bit, I wanna have some hearty discussion on this one, but
Yeah, I'd say
I
let's.
think that, what you're seeing here is pretty on par with what you're seeing in the rest of the corridor, right, in terms of, the landscaping that you're seeing.
I would say this is not on par with Country Homes of Ada. Country Homes of Ada
Maybe
is,
not that one, true.
yeah, which is next door, that's just blockade, which you're never gonna get, I get that.
I'm thinking the other side of Fulton.
The south side, yeah, that's
Oh,
different, yeah, you
yeah.
can see everything,
So just kind of throwing that,
yeah.
also want to make sure we don't over landscape and then.
No, and I'm not saying I want 100 trees, but just replace some of those deciduous trees with some spruce trees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially winter, it's gonna be wide open.
in winter, yeah, it's gonna be wide open.
Can I say something? Or?
Of course, yeah,
I don't know if-
we can make this
okay.
open, right, yeah.
So the renderings, we made every attempt to reflect the landscape plan. The landscape plan was done by a landscape architect. It's got the right sizes. So evaluation of your comments and everything should really be based on the sizing that is shown on there. Renderings help, but,
Yeah,
so,
yep,
understand the comment. I just want to make sure that everybody's not only
Yeah.
basing it on the renderings.
yeah, the landscape plan is intense for sure. There's a lot going on, but yeah, I think evergreens for sure up front there, some more. Yeah, I think let's open it up to comments.
It's clear that they want the arc to be the central point when you turn into the development, but having that be right there at that particular point is open, I mean, there's, if the entry was like further to the west, I don't think you would have that big of an issue with seeing development right as you turn that corridor from the road and Fulton even, but, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Can you go through your renderings again there, different images? And
Yeah.
I can go through 'em here.
You want the ones that are newer or? the ones that-
Or I can go through my packet here.
This is now moved beyond any
Okay.
landscape, so we're
Yeah.
past that threshold, just, we're trying to show architecture, but,
Like, yeah, I see you got a spruce tree on the right there, and like that, yeah, that one on the left. Maybe if we could just bring some of those spruces up by the road.
In terms of the neighbor to the west, do they have a existing sidewalk that would connect to yours, or, so
No.
they would have to, they'd be responsible from, if they ever wanted to connect?
I assume that that's the intent, is
If
to
they
go
wanted to
east and
connect
west,
and
yeah.
So if you remember, Julius brought this up, there is a plan for the township to put in a sidewalk around Fulton all the way to Carl there.
Okay.
So there would be a plan, so this would kind of kick that off, and then,
They are very excited about the sidewalk coming up to their property. I mean,
Oh, I'm
that was
sure
a
they
real
are.
big win for them.
Especially if they don't have to,
yep.
I would say it.
John, do we need MDOT approval or anything for the sidewalk, or?
Well, in this particular instance, the applicant, we're asking the applicant to do the sidewalk in front of their
Correct.
site, right?
Correct, yes.
So I don't know, you guys can maybe tell us if MDOT has reviewed the sidewalk or the walkway in front or not. I know that you guys worked with them extensively on the turnaround and the entry and those kinds of things.
You just state your name, who you represent.
Jeff Anlar with Excel Engineering, civil engineer. So yes, MDOT has seen our walkway. They do have the permit ready to issue for all the work within the right-of-way. And that includes the sidewalk, the turnaround, et cetera. So once we're ready for construction, we just need to submit a bond to them and they'll give us the permit. But yes, they have reviewed the sidewalk.
Is this gonna be, heated walks or heated drives, or no?
There's a portion of the site that is heated, not all of it, so
Can you
it's,
highlight where that is, what portions are heated?
I may need some help, Tim, but I believe that this area here, this drive
Yep.
area is heated, and then the drive-through here is heated.
It's not the drive, I think
The
just the
parking
site,
spots.
the sidewalks,
This, okay. Yep.
and then I think the sidewalk up front there.
So we get a bit of a loop,
Yep.
not a loop, but a pathway.
John, does staff wanna give some comments? I know I'm kinda jumping around here a little bit tonight.
Sure, happy to do so. We'll kind of summarize the information in the staff report,
Absolutely.
but try not to repeat what was noted by Scott and David and Jeff. So, yes, so this is a final approval request for a planned unit development. You all know the history. This started back in June of 2024, and even before that, in terms of earlier discussions and conversations between the Holland Home team and the township, primarily staff. And then this came for at least 3 meetings at the pre-application level with the Planning Commission in 2024. Got to preliminary planned unit development in November of 2024 and was approved. And then that went on and of course was approved by the Township Board. Then, as you all might recall, I think most of you were participants at that time, in November of 2025, they received a 1-year extension. So they're obviously well within that time frame. As we all know, generally speaking, the purpose of a final PUD is to ensure consistency with the approved preliminary PUD with review and confirmation of more detailed plans for the project. As he had mentioned, the 2 parcels on the site have been combined into a single parcel now. I'm just gonna kind of show that on our illustration. So that is now all a single parcel. Contains a little more than 18 acres. From a zoning ordinance perspective, nursing homes, senior citizen housing, and similar types of facilities are allowed as special uses within the R4 district. And we also have a a provision in the ordinance that says that any use which is permitted by right or by special approval may be included in a planned unit development. And so the current process addresses the planned unit development requirements associated with a final PUD. We had talked about the number of units, the slight reduction from originally 140 down to 136 for this entire project. They have made some slight changes Scott had alluded to as far as the site and the perimeter. He had talked about the slight reduction in building height as well. He had talked about the rooftop mechanical units and other information. You all know the area context. That entire area on the north side of Fulton is zoned R4. We talked about the country homes of Ada to the west, which is primarily, I think, primarily duplex, maybe some threeplex there, condominiums, excuse me, which are present. Obviously, to the north is single-family homes. To the east is the Ada Cemetery, and then commercial beyond that at the Hillside Center, which is, primarily retail and some office. On the south side, it's primarily light industrial, smaller buildings. Excuse me, kitty corner is Vitale's, as you all know. And so that's, kind of what you have on the south side of Fulton across the street. As we all know, the site is heavily vegetated, and they are having a significant effort to preserve vegetation where possible, although obviously the center of the site, you're dealing with a new development, so vegetation will be removed there. They are also working with the necessary riparian standards for preservation of the wetland areas, so you've got those buffers. There's a small portion in the upper corner of the site, the upper right corner of the site, and along the eastern edge of the site where you have those wetland situations that have to be addressed. Building scale and appearance was a topic of a lot of conversation at preliminary. They obviously have preserved that appearance with varieties of building facade colors and designs, some gabled roofs, and other things to kind of match the spirit, if you will, of the downtown area. This is not within our little downtown village area, but I refer to it as village adjacent. So we've got some of that benefit going on, thanks to the work of Scott and the entire development team, which we're appreciative of. We talked about the Michigan Department of Transportation, and Jeff, thank you for the update about that. Emergency services, fire, our fire department, work with Chief Dave Murray, has resulted in a satisfactory conclusion on Dave's part as it relates to circulation, fire department connections, height of the clearance in the lower level, and all the other things that Dave had talked about at prelim have all been addressed. We talked about pedestrian access. Don't believe there's any further need to discuss that. Still working through some minor issues on utilities and stormwater and a couple of those things. Very confident that that will get completed and approved. They, of course, do need to obtain a stormwater permit at the time that they do their development, so not really a major concern about that. Staff believes that the PUD standards have been addressed appropriately. We do not have a concern about that. There is one area, though, which, apologies to the commission and to Holland Home, we did not address with this plan. They are showing a sign on their project which does not conform to township standards. And typically, we as staff find it difficult to administer signs as part of a planned unit development. So from a staff perspective, we would like to have a condition of approval added that says that no signage is approved with this request. Certainly they have options or availability to do signage through the normal zoning ordinance requirements, but, I'm sorry?
It's a PUD, so they can't go ask for a variance.
Say that again, Brent?
PUD,
It's a PUD, so no variance can be requested for the sign?
that's my understanding, yes.
Okay. So our preference would be that signage not be approved as part of this PUD, and that they adhere to whatever the sign requirements are at that time, that when they do go through their development process. We just have a
Brent, did you
concern
have something
about,
else to say?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Brent.
what I was gonna say though is, I think they'd be hard pressed to meet the requirements of the ordinance, is because for this type of institutional identification, they're only allowed the aggregate area of all signage, wall and freestanding identification cannot exceed 50 square feet. And right now, I think they have a wall sign at 95 square feet and a ground sign at, 24? No. What does that say? 6. It's in glaring right now, I can't read it.
60
60
square
square.
feet.
So they're not allowed any deviation from that?
I mean, we could do that as part of this.
I'm just, cause I get like, Supervisor Korth and myself both despise the EHTC sign. I hate that sign.
What sign?
Big, the EHTC sign, the big massive blue sign, it's a monstrosity. So I get why that requirement is there. I think this letter A, you know, that's 15 feet tall, looks fine. That's my perspective.
You all as a
But
commission.
I don't want a neon orange sign that's 15 feet tall, so I get why that's in there. I think they integrated the logo here pretty well. So that's why I'm just curious if we are even allowed to bring that up as, from the commission.
You can have signage be part of a PUD.
Okay.
It can be done. From a staff perspective, and Brent, feel free to speak up on this too, from a staff perspective, we just have a concern about long-term administration. We have had signage PUDs in the past. They have been like standalone, where it's just been about signage.
Yeah.
It has resulted in challenges and difficulties to administration. You all, as a planning commission, have a right to approve some or all of a signage request, or, excuse me, of the proposed signage that is included with this project.
Okay.
Brent, additional thoughts?
And I would echo what John said, it is difficult to enforce, but I mean, if they're only proposing these 2 signs, it may be a little easier, I don't know. And I just, it's part of the PUD approval, and also, just wanted to point out that this regulation is different. I mean, this is zone R4, so it's R4 PUD, so we need to follow the R4 regs, which is what I stated, the aggregate area cannot exceed 50 square feet. There, of course, are different regulations for the commercial areas, you know, within the village, et cetera. So, but this is the requirement for this particular zoning.
Thank you.
Yeah, so ultimately, it's your choice.
All right.
Depending on a consensus of the planning commission.
Yeah.
This is no knock on the appearance of the signage or whatever, because everything has been so well designed. It's merely an issue of the, kind of the long-term administration, what we've seen 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, stuff like that with other things. But ultimately, if the planning commission is happy with the signage, that's fine.
Because I don't think that we had any communication with the applicant regarding this.
We have
signage
not.
at all, though.
We have not, so my apologies for that.
We'll
but-
discuss it if you want to continue with your staff.
Sure. So otherwise, though, we believe that the standards for planning and development have been met. We support the approval of this project based on the findings of fact that those standards have been addressed. We have listed conditions. Obviously, if the planning commission desires to include, Rob, those changes that you had noted about the arborvitae being changed to a different species, and I get what you're saying, that happens in my neighborhood. It's like a smorgasbord for deer, as well as increasing the evergreens to the right of the entrance, so be it. I think that pretty much concludes staff comments, but we're certainly happy to entertain questions about the information in the staff report.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
So to kind of illustrate one of my points on the landscape, if we go to page 19. I don't know if you have that or not, but over here, it's like all evergreens. Yeah. Page 19 on my packet. South along Fulton Street, it's called. Dated 4/16/2026.
There's a lot of packets.
Okay, that, yeah,
Yeah,
this
is it?
one. So go to page 19.
Got it.
Perfect. You want to zoom in on let's go on the bottom. Yeah, right there, zoom in there. Keep going. Okay, now pan it. See right there, all those trees are evergreens, or a lot of them? And then to the left, it's all deciduous. Just like
Yep, got it.
blend that in. Like, it seems like a very clear line of like deciduous here, and then I'm evergreen there.
So, Rob, might I make an inquiry?
Yes.
So what you're saying is maybe instead of having a clear line where this is the deciduous zone
Right.
and this is the evergreen zone, you're saying more of an integration?
If we can blend it,
Blend
but
it.
I'd like to see some more evergreens on the west part of it there. Yes.
Is this representative of what's in the landscape plan though?
Or is it conceptual?
Yeah, oh,
Spruce are behind deciduous on the west.
Or is this just,
submit this, but
The landscape plan is intense, I will say.
yeah,
that's the landscape plan. And so there's a layer of evergreens behind the deciduous in the front.
Great, perfect.
Okay,
That's awesome.
that's great.
Okay, thank you.
sorry.
Thank you for pulling that up, yeah. I don't know if you can tell, but I worked in landscaping for 7 years, so I'm very
guessing.
particular about it. Okay, thank you. You can have a seat. I'd like, as the commission, I want to address the sign first. Just totally get the standards. This is a residential district. You don't want a 15-foot tall letter A and whatever if it's ugly and lit up. And is this sign lit? Can you answer that?
Yeah, it's backlit.
It's backlit. Okay.
No neon.
Okay. I personally am okay with it.
Me too.
I think it's kind of a nice accent on
What
that
we'd be
wall.
doing is, if we approve this, maybe I better get these guys.
Okay.
So if we approve this, we're approving these signs as they exist right here, right?
As they are part of the plan.
So any modification from that, they'd have to.
It would require any modifications to the signage that increase the sign of the sign.
Even to decrease it.
Size of the signage would require, they want to increase, it would require planning commission approval.
Right.
If they wanted to decrease the size, we might be able to approve it as staff depending on how it would line up with the modifications language that is in the ordinance. So a lot of times, we at staff level are allowed to administratively approve, Dan, reductions, things that aren't as big.
One of the things I'm thinking, John, is if they wanted to, I mean, I'm looking at what the sign looks like right now with that leaf and so forth.
Right.
If they wanted to completely change it, but leave it within that size, is that gonna be okay, or?
That would be, I mean, it'd be similar to the landscape plan where you talk about adding these trees subject to staff's approval.
Okay.
Right.
That would be very similar. However, I would like to know if it's gonna, well, it states it's gonna be internally illuminated, so we would need to know that. We have regulations. They can't be, more than 35% illuminated. So as far as like the ground sign and is the wall sign, was that gonna be like channel letters? I can't, yeah, it looks like it. So that probably really wouldn't apply. But be specific in that too, as far as the type of illumination, and it looks like, yeah, internal.
So, yeah, if those things can be clarified, that would be helpful for us. But to your point, Dan, if it's the same size, let's say the name of the project changes to the Verdun project or something, as opposed to the Everden
Or the
project.
font, or the, yeah.
Color.
20 years down the road.
Bright orange, it's really gonna annoy me.
Well, you could put something in about color,
You could put
That's why I want
because
to,
that's a PUD, still.
approve it as shown.
approved as shown, you know, or something of that.
I kinda, I'm agreeing with Rob, I'd wanna approve it as shown. You know,
Yeah. Tom is very sensitive about signs,
Yeah,
ever since the HTC.
the
sign.
HTC.
Yes. So,
And we understand that.
yeah.
I
He'd
mean,
be
it
upset
was-
with me not to bring this up.
I just want clarification on the height of the sign, the freestanding sign, it says 5 feet, but it looks like it's like, the grade varies, but just to make sure, because according to ordinance, it cannot exceed 5 feet in height total,
Including the base that it sits on, or just the
Yes.
sign?
the base.
The base too.
Okay.
So this looks like it's gonna be much more than 5 feet in height. There's no dimensions for me to look at, so.
Do you want us to?
Yeah, if you have it. Oh,
can't I see that?
The sign portion itself is 5 feet.
It needs to be the base and everything cannot exceed 5 feet. So then we would need to know exactly what that height is gonna be to have that.
10, yeah.
To make sure that that exception is accounted
Yes.
for.
Page 10 on the 4/16 date shows it pretty well.
So that 5 foot tall is just the darker color, not the base.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how we measure signage would be it includes the base.
You got a page
As
5.
far as sign area, it only
That's
includes,
it. You were
includes
just
the
on it. Oh, I did?
signage area,
Yeah.
Thanks, sorry.
not the base.
Right there.
Whoops.
There it is.
So
Yep.
if it's on a slope like that, the 5 feet would be the tallest. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yes. But I mean, as a PED, you guys can grant the variation,
We-
but I think
we
we
could-
need to know exactly what that requirement is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could
Or
approve
the
this
max-
as it's
or what the
sitting.
maximum is, pardon me?
We could approve this just as we see it right here, right?
Well, but I don't know what that height is, though.
We need to have them provide a height that it would not exceed. Or I think that should be specified
Yes.
in one way or another, X number of feet, so
Yeah,
that you,
especially on
so
the-
that you guys have parameters on which you can work from with your signage.
Okay. Yeah, what, so I think, go ahead.
We're trying to do the math right
Yeah,
now.
so I was just looking at, yeah, it's kind of sitting on that berm right there. And the grade across the sign drops probably 3 to 4 feet. I would say, 4 feet would probably be reasonable
But
based on. what-
it kind of looks like it's, I mean, but just by looking at it, it's probably what, 5 feet and 5 feet, right? 10 feet?
Yeah.
On the-
At least.
All the
And we're
schools,
staying
yeah.
out of the right of way, correct, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's,
If that's to scale, that white part's even more than 5.
Okay, all right, thank you. So let's talk the 10-foot sign on the side, first of all. Yeah,
13 feet tall.
Here, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, the 13 feet, I'm okay with that one, as shown.
That's the large A
Yeah.
and Aberdeen on the wall of the Arc building,
Wall sign. The wall
the
sign.
wall sign.
There's a wall sign and a ground sign.
So let's
Wall
talk,
sign and
let's
ground
talk the wall sign. Does the commission have any concerns about
As is, though.
as is?
Colors, all
So,
of it.
I think it looks great, design-wise. It is massive.
Yeah.
It is really, really big. If you look at the size of that wall, that face, I mean, it is a significant percentage of that entire.
My only concern is how bright it is at night.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
But 35%, Brent, you said is the township ordinance?
As far as the max of the sign being illuminated.
Oh, okay, so not the brightness, just how much of it can be.
Correct, we don't regulate brightness of signs.
So you can't have the entire thing, like,
As far as the wall signage, that's different. As far as the monument sign, we can easily calculate the 35%, but the wall sign, if it's channel letters, which it appears to be, then
Okay.
we don't worry about the 35%.
okay. Because it looked like the entire thing was backlit in the one image.
It does, yeah. That was page
So
9.
you're saying that wouldn't be allowed?
That would not be allowed.
Okay, all right.
For the freestanding sign you saw?
No, for the wall sign.
Oh, for the wall sign, yes, we would allow that to all be illuminated.
Okay.
So it's 13 foot tall, 10 foot wide, all that could be illuminated. Well, just the letter.
Yeah,
The-
the logos and the lettering,
The,
yes.
the ordinance does not prohibit that.
Is there anything
Correct.
we can govern for how bright that is?
That's what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
That's really,
Yeah, it's like the side of that whole acoustic panel, almost, bigger than that.
it's big.
Big.
Around it.
I'm okay with the size.
All for the wow factor and you know, seeing it so clearly from the road. This feels a little big.
Especially if we're gonna say yes to a ground sign.
Yes, 13 feet tall. Very tall.
I tend to agree.
Yeah. It's
Like
big.
I love the idea. The illuminate looks very cool.
Yeah, to me, it's too bright. Yeah, too big and bright, I guess I would say there.
Yeah, I mean just yeah.
The 13 feet is including the script below, so the A is not 13 feet.
Right.
The whole is
Okay.
just make sure.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fair.
What do you feel, Blaine? 8 feet?
I don't have an opinion on that yet.
I just,
Just want to.
10.
So I heard.
Right.
I heard Steve
Yeah,
say
yeah.
he disagrees.
I mean, it's
How's the rest of the commission feeling on that though?
I'm okay with the sign as it sits. you know.
You like the size, Dan?
Yeah, well, I think there's some artistry in it,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm okay with the size. It's the size lit up at night.
I think what, really, when you're talking about being lit up at night, it's the brightness that you're worried about, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
If it was real dim,
I don't know how we minister that, though.
That was something that would be
impossible.
very difficult to do so, and we do not do that.
Yeah, it would be impossible for us to try to regulate light level,
All you can really do is manage size.
size, yeah.
I mean,
In the case
I'm
of a
assuming
wall
it's
sign.
not gonna be extremely bright anyway.
yeah. To me, you know, I
It's just gonna be backlit, is that right? It's not, we're not gonna have a spotlight hitting it, are we?
No, no, it's internal. It's
Internal.
not gonna be backlit, it looks
Is
like
that
it's
correct,
just,
Scott? Internally illuminated is what's proposed for the A and the Aberdeen under it on the wall sign? It will be internally illuminated, another bulbs or whatever inside, within those letters?
I almost
Not
need
backlit.
not have it lit. I just.
If it was just backlit, I think that would be different. But being illuminated.
The whole thing illuminated.
if it was backlit, it's gonna even shine out more. Backlighting,
Because
it's gonna spill outwards.
True. Yeah, fair point.
I'm okay with the size, but not. I don't know about lit.
Angela was saying you feel
Yeah,
it's a
Angela,
little
what do you
big too.
think?
I was just thinking, could we just, if 13 feet's too tall, is 10 foot tall good enough? Is 7 foot wide good enough? Like, you know, just bring it down.
Yeah, what's the
20%.
thought? I'm
Bring it
guessing
down
I'm guessing
20%.
there's some math that was done in there as why we picked 13 feet tall, 10 feet wide.
It's
Scale is,
Yeah, it's scale. I mean, it's just looking at it and making sure it fits and it's visible. There's no math.
No, okay.
It's that.
Dan, what's your take on it, the lit?
Um,
You and okay?
Yeah.
You and I are okay with the size.
yeah, you know, I guess it's, if it's an illuminated sign, I don't know if we could say anything about brightness. That's the only thing I wouldn't want it, you know, a big bright sign at night. But I don't know how you could even measure that, so, I don't know.
It's something we could work on, dimmable LEDs, we could
Yeah.
work with our sign company.
Could we put that as a condition, like dimmable LEDs or something?
You can't enforce it, is the problem.
And how do we know?
Enforcement for
Yeah.
dimmable LEDs, that's, because that could, what if they, what if one fixture goes out and then something else is replaced and we can't tell if it's dimmable or not, or that gets really difficult to do for us.
Well, as we're trying to debate this, what do you guys think?
Well, just a couple of thoughts, not necessarily opinions, but thoughts and perspectives. Rob had earlier talked about the EHTC sign on this office building over here. That sign was, frankly, took advantage of kind of a loophole in the ordinance because of the way that lot was set out. That sign does face kind of the interior of the downtown. It does not face Fulton Street. So you've got a different, in some ways you might have a different feel that we're trying to encourage with smaller signage, more muted things within the downtown area, right, within the village area. In an area like this, where you're along Fulton, yes, we're village adjacent, but you're still out on Fulton which is a pretty large artery, traffic artery. So to the extent that it's kind of a slightly different feel, I guess I can understand, Rob, what you were saying in terms of this understanding or not having a major problem with the size. The illumination, yeah, that's a challenge. I just don't know how we can best deal with that or accommodate that. Even if they're going to be using a frosted cover, what is that, translucent but not transparent? We still don't know what that brightness looks like. So that's what gets to be a challenge, I think, for me as well. So that's just my perspective. I don't know if Brent has any
Yeah,
thoughts.
and my
as well.
other question for the applicant is, it says 95 square feet. Now, is that boxed in? Because that's how we measure it, and we take like square it in, box it in, all elements of the sign.
I thought I read somewhere in an ordinance where it says any.
You wanna come on up and identify too, since we've not had you introduce? Thank you.
Hi, Dave Heisinger, Integrated Architecture. I thought that there was verbiage in the ordinance that talked about specifically bounding the graphics.
It's
No,
the
includes
geometric
it's
figure.
The sign area shall include the entire area of the smallest geometric figure, so I mean. that-
Smallest geometric figure, which is a
enclosing-
triangle in this case.
Nope, we always box it in.
We use boxes or rectangles.
Yes.
But
Squares or
what
rectangles.
does it say
He
in
just
the
quoted
ordinance?
But that's, I mean, but how we box in all this, because that
Okay.
includes all elements of the sign. So that's why I said this looks like it's even gonna be bigger than 95 square feet.
Well, the box is what is written, 10 by 13, but the geometric figure is not a box.
So let
See
me,
that?
Does
let me
that-
understand that.
It is a
So-
I'm
geometric
reading
figure. It is a
exactly what it
geometric
says in the
figure, yeah.
ordinance, I think.
Okay, but
Maybe
that's
two
something-
specifically.
That's something this is how we interpret the ordinance. when
We've
making-
interpreted that for
Yeah,
years.
it's out of compliance,
Okay.
whatever, fine.
Okay, but let me understand, when you say it's 10 by 13,
Yeah,
is that a rectangle that includes
is.
the A and the
and the
title
text
underneath?
below.
So that's
Yeah.
how we would
So the
measure.
top of the A,
10 by 13,
bottom
so
of the text. Yeah,
technically 130
130
square feet.
right. So it's not like Vitalis sign, which is a white square, and their V is within it, and it contains, I think the white portion of it is all illuminated, so that would certainly be counted. Where in this case, I think the sign won't even be the top coordinates of the A will.
Yeah, I'm
not be-
thinking
it
about
won't
you
even
got
be a sign,
Vitale's
it'll
kitty
essentially
corner
be an
that's
A
lit up like
with text below it, I
heavens.
think.
Yeah, but Vitale's isn't R4.
Yeah,
True,
130.
true.
Yeah, it's 130 square feet by the definition of our ordinance.
Okay, fine. Yes, sir.
Just make one point too, the facade's 200 feet off the road.
Yeah.
So it's back a ways, it's not like it's.
Do we have any other projects that have signage even remotely comparable to this in the village or along the corridor? I can't think of it.
No,
Not to my knowledge.
nothing.
Is it above the tree line?
Ada Hotel, probably the biggest sign.
It looks that way.
It's backlit.
That's not
It's
even.
not like
Approaching-
this. That's
you're
probably the
driving
biggest
along
though.
Fulton.
Well,
You
this,
see it from a ways because of the tree height.
I would suspect so, at least before the trees mature. Ultimately, you'll have some maturity, which might help reduce the visibility, but at some point, why are signs even installed for visibility purposes?
Well, certainly the sign out, the round sign is meant for that, but this sign's
Right.
meant for.
Right.
Here's my
signs
take.
have a different purpose.
I'm okay with the size, I'm not okay with the lit.
It's a really big sign.
Where are you at?
I think
I just want to point out, for our industrial area, let's say in our office, C2, LI, and I districts right now, for a business having over 1,200 square feet of floor area, it's the lesser of 1 square foot per 50 square feet of building floor area occupied by the business, or 40 square feet. It's the lesser of. So this is a large sign.
So 40 square feet would be the max in the industrial area.
The lesser of.
so. This is over 3x that.
It is.
Justin, what's your thoughts?
I was okay with it until learning it's 3 times the size of what we would allow on the industrial side. Honestly, I was okay too with it being lit, I think from like a safety perspective, but now I have concerns that it's just gonna be this massive.
John, I know we talked about lumping this in with the approval. Can we approve this without the sign?
It can be approved without the sign. They could come back later with a sign plan to amend the PUD. You could specifically say, signs, or if you're okay with the ground sign, you could specify the
Talk
ground
about
sign
that
be
next.
okay. Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Or leave one out, leave both out, or
Right.
modify, and
I
then they could come
feel-
back with a sign
I
request.
think we should, if we're gonna make one of them, we should do a sign plan and
Yeah.
make them come.
Yeah, I
not
just feel like
separate
the
them.
applicant has heard our concerns and we are not even close to unified on decision. I suggest that it not be part of tonight's approval. You guys have done so well with our previous concerns and coming back with a good solution. So I suggest we don't approve the wall sign tonight. But I'd like to talk about the road sign.
I just think, I think that there's gonna be a lot of really strong opinions in the community.
Yeah,
A sign this size.
okay. We don't approve the wall sign tonight. Let's talk about the road sign.
I almost would be in favor of, like Brent was alluding to, having one big sign conversation. If there's a possibility to say, you know, come back to us with a sign plan, because
Yeah,
I think they're mutually exclusive, the wall and the ground sign. That's just
correct. So let's give feedback to the applicant about the ground sign.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think the look is fantastic. I really like the kind of the color choices they have there. I didn't realize that the sign limitations were at that 5 foot.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned the one side's 10 feet tall.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
The thing is though, I mean, they could end up extending the berm or doing something like that to get rid of that height of that.
Landscape and
Yeah.
shown right now, I'm sure they.
And would that be more attractive than what we have right here?
You can push it back a little bit here too, where it's flatter.
Yeah.
So you know,
Yeah.
again, I kind of like the sign as it sits. I like the fact that it fits into that berm like that. I think that looks attractive.
I'm wondering if you could keep it there and bring it down a touch, because you're walking down the side. I mean, a 10-foot tall sign. That is a big sign, 10 feet tall.
I mean, I'm okay with it being taller than 5 feet. I'm just.
I am
I'm not
too.
sure about 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, I don't know if we could just bring it down a little bit.
Because I'm thinking like riding the bike through, you're just like
Yeah,
huge sign.
10 feet. That's
Yeah.
that's tall.
So part of that could be getting them to kind of flat. I mean, we want the berm. We like.
Bring the shorter side down just a little bit of the sign. Foot or two.
What's the normal entryway door? 9 foot? 8 foot?
8
So it's to the
to the top of the exit.
exit sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basketball hoop.
Steve,
I like it.
you like it? Okay.
How many signs would they be permitted, or are they permitted to have?
Well,
Go ahead, Brent.
per the ordinance right now, what they are allowed is the aggregate area cannot exceed 50 square feet. And that includes one wall sign and one ground-mounted freestanding sign.
So wall sign, ground sign, combined.
Cannot exceed 50 square feet.
Okay, and so we're
Per
currently,
ordinance.
Okay.
yeah.
We're
So how do we feel?
probably exceed that. I get that. So I think they heard our concerns on the wall sign. The ground sign, 12 feet wide, so that's 60 square feet. Thoughts on 60 square feet, so we can give the applicant feedback?
How do we feel about going from a cumulative 50 square foot to a cumulative 200 and something, whatever it came out?
But it's not really 60 square.
It'd be 130 plus 6, so 190.
Okay, so yeah, but yeah, to my point. Do you like having 2 signs?
12 by 5 is also,
So that 12
Big.
by 5 is just the gray, the dark
Right.
portion. That is not counting any of the base. Just for the record, so we're on the same page.
I think it's a little big. I think 12 by 5 is a little big.
It would be nice if it was just on the ground, just like all the rest of the signs are on Fulton, on the
Outside.
opposite side of the street.
Yeah, they're a little
the
more
Dan Boss,
subtle.
those ones are
Right.
real nice, real sleek looking.
I would say other than maybe a couple of old,
The Anderson building.
maybe
Real
the
tall.
Anderson building and
Standard,
Yeah, standard.
yeah.
and the, I can't think of the bar, Dirty Shane.
Oh, yeah, dirty shit. Yeah, yeah.
Those are non-conforming. Other than that, everything I believe is no higher than 5 feet, all the ground
So-
signs.
I think we're agreeing it might be a little big. Bring
on the
that-
ground.
Bring it down a little
A little
bit.
tall anyway.
A little tall, a little big.
I would say it needs to be on the ground, especially if we're giving a massive other, like,
Yeah. I don't
we're
think
giving
we
a
are.
lot.
I don't think we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Feel you have enough feedback on the signs? Feel free to come.
If we come back with a sign package, are internal, like wayfinding signs a part of that? And is there a concern about that? Like something that tells you this is the way to the restaurant, or this is the way to the enclaves, like what you'd find in a
no.
development?
No,
Like when you drive into the mall, you mean, like, and it's like left for Macy's and right.
Yeah, hopefully nicer, but yeah.
no.
Inside the development.
It would be nice to know kind of
We would have to.
what are we planning for that, though?
Yeah, I guess we would wanna see all signs, and then we would have to see how it relates to the ordinance and.
Because there are some
Vegas
exemptions to signs allowed, but we'd have to see size and all of that
Okay,
in the sign ordinance.
thanks.
Good question.
Good question.
All right, let's move on from signs.
So is your conclusion that no signs,
Right.
I want to try to understand.
So your wayfinding sign, when you're driving in, if you had a whole pole that had 20 wayfinding signs right there, yeah, that would annoy me. So it probably is good, yes, if you showed, here's where we're putting them, how big they are.
We're trying to understand from a clarity perspective here.
Right.
So the direction at this point of the planning commission is no signs are approved as part of the current planned unit development.
Correct.
That's a condition of approval. However, verbally, you're saying that and that doesn't have to be it's not a condition, but verbally, the direction you're providing is that the applicant can return with a sign plan
Correct.
to amend the PUD.
Correct.
Correct.
I just want to have that for clarity.
Yeah.
Do we want to see the landscaping plan, since this is a rendering and not indicative? I mean, if they are coming back, do we want to see that as well? Or do we just, is that
The
administrative?
landscape plan
Yeah, or is that
is,
something that's administratively you approve?
I believe, are comfortable with
Okay.
the landscape plan direction
Yeah.
as provided.
No arms,
I'm sorry?
no arborvitae.
No arborvitae, transfer to a different species, and then a better integration of the evergreen and deciduous along the frontage with, not necessarily a change in number of trees, but moving more in the way of evergreen,
It
closer
looked
to
like
the entrance.
The plan had, just the rendering was slightly different.
Right, yeah, as necessary, so I think we're comfortable from a staff perspective with that, in terms of the approval process. I don't see that as an issue, and then we can certainly have a separate conversation with the Holland Home team, and, which, Rob, I appreciate your positive comments on those as well, the planning commission, because this group has been outstanding to work with, so thank you all, because I feel like, yes, they can take some of the direction you provided on signage, and signage is always a sensitive topic, so in some ways, I'm kind of glad it didn't, bog down the process anymore, than the conversation we've already had, so thank you for your direction on that, too.
Can we keep going with other?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I wanted to throw out there, so we were talking about the rate in which these units have been selling, talked about that. So the extension goes through November 20th, I believe. Correct?
It does, but that goes away because you're approving the final PUD tonight.
There goes.
Well, assuming you approve it tonight, we don't have to worry about the extension at all.
Okay.
The final PUD, there is a time frame for acting, I believe.
Commencing construction, and
commencing
that is.
That's where I'm
construction.
going with this.
It's within 1 year's time.
So 1 year from now, they would have to
Of
commence
this.
construction.
And if they didn't, then they have the ability to request a 1-year extension.
You can do twice, correct?
I don't believe so.
Just once.
This
So-
is PUD, I think.
Because it's
PDM is something
PUD
different.
is different.
Yep.
So
PBM.
I think where I'm going with this is, I mean, personally, I'm excited for this project, and I want to see it get started sooner rather than later. So I worry a bit with how long this could, knowing it's a 30-month project right now is what we're planning. We're years out, so.
Yeah, so, I'll read to you from the ordinance. So commencement of construction. And this is currently section 78-453. Commencement of construction. Construction shall be commenced and shall be proceeding meaningfully toward completion within 1 year from the date of final PUD approval for all or any phase of a PUD. Construction of each phase of a multi-phase PUD shall be commenced within 1 year of the schedule established for the phase as approved for the PUD. However, I know there's no phasing plan in particular that has been proposed. It's just all going to be constructed as one phase. So if they get underway, if there's meaningful activity within a year of now, then I believe we're good to go. If they continue to make progress and so forth. But if construction, next section, if construction is not commenced within the 1 year period, approval of the final development plan shall lapse. However, the planning commission may extend the time for commencement of construction if the applicant requests an extension prior to the expiration of the 1 year period and demonstrates to the satisfaction of the commission that the extension is justified either because the delay is due to unforeseen circumstances, difficulties beyond the reasonable control of the applicant, and there remains the likelihood of proceeding to completion with the PUD or upon other good cause shown by the applicant. This has happened before. I remember when I first got here about 5 years ago, Village East requested and was granted an extension. That's the multifamily apartments at the other end of the village area. And they did obtain and receive approval for an extension, not unlike what was done with Holland Home in November, in a similar way, but that was just for preliminary. This would be for final. So if you're an applicant, have that option, if that need arises. Depending, like you said, Blaine, on sales.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking through timelines here and.
Indeed. Absolutely.
And we did bring, just to let you know, we brought that up to the applicant during our internal plan review. That was discussed in that.
I assume. Thank you.
I want to talk about or hear about the analysis and what you've heard from MDOT about the center lane on Fulton and how that will be reduced and what impact that's going to have on certainly the traffic that comes out of Culross heading west. Because that center lane is now, which is currently a nice on-ramp for folks who are coming out of that area.
Where is that right?
Vitale's is Coros.
Yeah, I don't know which of these it is along there.
Very difficult to get out there.
Yeah, I think, I think that concern has been brought up before. And when we went through the process with MDOT, Scott mentioned it earlier, we looked at a number of different options. And there were a lot of different things thrown out, and really this was the only option that MDOT gave us for an entry. I understand, that the concerns coming from Culross, but in some respects we were handcuffed, if you will, by the location that MDOT gave us. And we talked to them about signals, we talked to them about, continuing a center for left for both directions, which is also not a very safe option. And this was about the only thing that they landed on that they would approve.
So we don't think there's some chance of a light at Culross.
I think that's a whole nother discussion with MDOT. And just for your information, and you might not already know this, but MDOT has a light warrant study that they go through before they can put up a traffic signal. And so they've got to hit there's, 7 or 8 different metrics, I believe. And then need a full traffic study, and those metrics all need to be hit. And that includes, that can include crash data, delay time, traffic counts. There's a number of things that go way beyond my expertise that go into those traffic signal warrants. And MDOT, historically, those warrants have been hard to hit, and I think they do that on purpose because they don't want traffic signals every half a mile. I mean, 28th Street is bad enough, in their mind, and so they want to avoid those, so that the regulations are pretty stringent on those.
I know the plans show it. Can you give some description as to what that, how much does that really cut that area down? I can't tell.
It's, if you look there on that
I
picture,
can-
you can see Colrose.
Yeah, I can see Colorado, but I can't see where that's not the proposed change to it, that's the current.
But I can see 6-1, it's
I'd
hard
love
to
to
tell which one is Colrose.
I'd love to see that.
This,
with the-
so here's where,
Yeah.
wait,
Colross comes in at
so
the
it only moved.
far east edge,
Yep.
opposite the far eastern boundary or border of their
Oh,
zone.
So,
Right,
there's still a little bit of that.
yeah, so
I'm just wondering how far is that center lane gonna
see
change?
where the equivalent of this.
That will become nasty
Drives
there.
there,
Yep,
it would be
yep.
like a
And
Scott, do you want to go back to
it's in the
yours?
middle of two driveways.
Yeah,
So right now it's kind of right here. Right now it's moving in here because in that picture
it
it's
shows the before and after.
so it's only really
Oh, there you go.
So this is what it is now, and this shows the demolition,
So,
and it moves that further, that further.
right. So Colross is
It's right
far,
south
at
of
the
that
far
cul-de-sac.
edge, there you go, right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
Yep. So your turnaround is well west of Colross.
Correct.
Yeah, it moves it about 300 feet to the
100 feet,
east.
okay.
To the west or whatever.
To the east.
To the east.
East.
To the east, yeah.
You must turn there every day.
I see a lot of traffic turn left there.
Yeah.
And it's,
so it moves. It's kind of like
it's currently not all that
oh
pretty,
here it is now.
In the morning or in the evening.
Oh, it is on there now. Oh yeah. So
certainly during the school
it
year.
goes one property to the
It's
other.
all, yeah, anyway.
To your point, Steve, though, we would not be opposed to a light there.
Right. Fair enough. That's a concern. That's just a concern I have. I get that MDOT has approved this, they're the experts at this. This will not bode well for folks turning there.
Any other comments, concerns? Nothing? Dan?
Nope, I'm ready.
I'm good. Yeah, it's the sixth time I've gone through this with you guys, so hashed out most of my issues.
Merit badge.
Yeah, yeah, I've been in all these meetings with these guys. But no, I mean, just going off of that, I think John would agree here. This is how we would love a big project like this to go in Ada, with a lot of communication back and forth. You guys have been great to work with. A lot of community involvement. I know you met with the HOA of Country Homes. I talked with Bob separately afterwards, and he had nothing but good things to say about you guys. So appreciate you getting the input and trying to integrate with the city, and done a great work. All right.
So you need a motion?
I do, Dan. You are the motion master.
Move that we approve the final PUD plan as presented, based on the finding of facts that the final PUD development plan meets the applicable standards, and then subject to the following conditions: the civil civil plan set that was presented, the architectural graphics, the electrical site plan, and the landscape and site irrigation plans. Basically, the proposed development that was presented here, and that we are granting an exception on the 40-foot height limit, allowing a building height of 58.5 feet. And then we've got 4 other conditions: the paved 10-foot non-motorized pathway shall be constructed by the applicant along the site's entire frontage and shall be subject to township approval. Stormwater permit application and accompanying construction plans for the stormwater management system shall be submitted, subject to review and approval of a permit by the planning department prior to initiation of site improvements. Proposed utilities, including sewer maintenance measures, shall be approved by the township's utilities consultant. Construction plans for public water and sewer main improvements shall be subject to issuance of required state permits and approval by the township's consulting engineer prior to initiation of site improvements and prior to issuance of building permits. and our approval does not cover any signage. We're not approving any signage. The signage would be subject to additional approvals by the Planning Commission.
And no arborvitae's.
And, yeah, and no arborvitae's.
We could include that as part of that landscape plan condition.
Yeah,
Just, if you don't mind, we'll wordsmith it.
Yeah.
Just so that we talk about the no arborvitae's
And staff has the,
and then the integration of the evergreens immediately east of the entry.
staff,
that's
what do you?
staff's, approval, right, John?
Certainly,
Okay,
if you're good with that.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Your direction with us is clear, so.
yeah, and you'll probably have to wordsmith a lot of that.
Not too bad though, but you'll obviously see that in the minutes
Yeah,
next month and can comment as needed.
okay,
5
so
minutes.
that's the motion.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. John, do we have any commission member staff reports?
Briefly, and finally, again, thank you to the Holland Homes team.
Thank you,
We
guys.
really appreciate it. Yeah, there you go. And, you know, your good work is appreciated, and we'll be happy to chat with you further about the sign plan. So, a few housekeeping items. First, to formally introduce Madeline, or Maddie Russo, who is our new administrative assistant, succeeding Elaine Buckley, who is now enjoying retirement. She's, 5 days into her retirement, so more power to Elaine. That's a wonderful thing. We're happy to have Maddie on board. We had a great interview and review process with various candidates, and so we're happy to have Maddie on the team. She brings with her experience from municipal, City of Wyoming, as well as work in the real estate industry, banking industry, and I think I left something else out, but that's okay. And so welcome Maddie. Today is her second day. She began yesterday. And we joke, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose to learn all the information. So the learning curve is, there's just a lot for her to learn, and but we're happy to have her on board. And so we have that. Briefly as well, the next meeting is June 11th rather than June 18th because of the Juneteenth holiday on Friday the 19th. So that's why that moves a week earlier. I had mentioned earlier, Sangeeta Ghosh is the new planning commissioner that was appointed, I believe, at the last meeting in April. She had a prearranged travel taking her out of the country, but she will be back for the June meeting. I know we had done introduction by email. We're continuing our work internally at staff level on the zoning ordinance update. And Rob, before we get back to you about that, and presumably Bruce Cortate as well, we have more work that we're preparing and looking at. It is expected, though, that we will want to be scheduling another joint meeting with the Township Board and the Planning Commission as a follow-up to our December meeting, just to kind of review a couple of those topics that we talked about, talk about the progress we've made and where we're at with it, and then hopefully, once that's done, we can move forward with the actual presentation of the zoning ordinance for public hearing, presumably recommendation for approval by the Planning Commission, and then final approval by the Township Board. Can I give you an exact time frame? I can't, but we're plugging away, and I believe we have a meeting with Suzanne, our consultant, coming up, not next week, but Monday of the following week. So, cool. So, Maddie or Brent, any additional comments that you'd like to add? So, thank you for your attention and for your great conversation and guidance on this proposal, because this Holland Home, because like I said, Holland Home is probably the biggest single project that we've ever had here, because I think Amway was built in stages. So as far as a single unified project, this may be the biggest one that we've seen. So
Awesome. Thank you, John. With that, we will open to public comment, and we will close public comment, and with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. 7 o'clock on the dot.